is better.
Yeah,
this is good.
This is cool.
Before we look silly, now this is good.
Now it looks badass.
Now this is super post-apocalyptic.
You're the artillery guy, and I'm like the spindly but like kind of feral, manic, crazy guy.
Like the guy that like the guy that's like the little like berserker that gets let out of a hatch.
Yeah, exactly. Like has a secret weapon at some point.
Yeah.
Just like totally amoral.
Yeah.
Like just kind of probably like mildly cannibal.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome back.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. We're doing
Hammer Gun.
It's our post-apocalypse episode.
Yeah. There's even
we're just gonna dismantle the illusion right here.
Yeah. It's just for show.
It's just
And we're back, and thank you for joining us again for even more Fury on the Road.
Thanks for getting
by Jack Carroll McCarthy.
Jack Carroll McCarthy.
Jack Carroll on the road.
Shine on you, crazy.
The road.
Lou Diamond Phillips.
Brilliant.
I guess, yeah. It's just word vomit.
Yeah.
It's just like running a magnet across a magnetic poetry kit and seeing what words you pick up.
Now focus, don't quit, dreams work.
And languid. You always get languid. That's like the adjective that always comes out in one of those magnetic poetry.
Languid?
Yeah, I get languid a lot for some reason. Maybe it's just because it's on the fridge, but...
Yeah. I wonder how often people get eldritch.
Eldritch?
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know. I don't know if my kit had that.
Yeah. Eldritch is just like the go-to word for when someone wants to like H.P. Lovecraft and be creepy. It's this eldritch room. It's a spooky room.
I'm gonna name my kid Eldritch.
Eldritch. Eldritch, did you do your homework?
No, I didn't.
Damn it, Eldritch!
I was too busy playing about in the primordial ooze.
I was raising the dead god.
Turns in his homework, it's just growing tentacles.
Yes.
And making some kind of baleful noise.
It's really his Night Vale Eldritch. Eldritch Jr.
Eldritch Jr. just listens to episodes of Night Vale and reads H.P. Lovecraft.
Just listening to Night Vale, it's just like, oh, such a slice of life.
Yeah, it's really relatable.
Yeah.
It's like,
Hashtag relatable. When the Bay.
Oh, Carlos.
Yeah.
And his perfect haircuts.
Welcome back. Enjoy yet more dank-ass Mad Max discussion.
Yep.
And see you at the dank.
See you at the dank. It's like the World's Fair. At the dank.
See you at the dank.
At the dank summit. One day we'll have a dank summit.
We'll have dank.
Okay, yeah, we get.
I wanted to bring something up. I was talking to it with a friend of ours. You remember Grace, right?
Dude.
Yeah. She, I was talking to her. She wanted to know my thoughts on the movie, and I ended up talking with her because I just saw it last night as of this recording.
Uh-huh.
And she said something that I thought was really cool, and it's like, it's enough for us two guys to jaw on about the feminist text in this movie.
Uh-huh.
But this is my friend Grace's take. It felt so weird to relate to something so out there. She's referring to the scene where they get back to Furiosa's clan to find out this green place.
Oh.
Where's all these, and it is like this society of these elderly matriarchs that are still like perfectly capable in a fight.
Yeah.
And she finds out the green place, they pass through it. It's now a decrepit, stagnant swamp with still walking guys on it, which were cool. It's like, I love that kind of surrealist touch of the still walking Cirque du Soleil-ish guys. But Grace says, when Furiosa drops on her knees after finding the green place doesn't exist anymore, it felt exactly like when I become overwhelmed by patriarchal society at every turn. Like when I get hit on, or when a guy expects something from me, or says something sexist, or a woman is hurt, or I see men's rights shit. It's like that moment Furiosa is going back to the one place that seems safe for women, and when she gets there, it's gone, and there's no escape. And the whole world is just run by nasty shit. Yeah. Nasty, anti-female shit.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah.
I hadn't even thought about that. That's like they... Again, I don't entirely agree that they make her like fully stoic and stuff, because it's like there are moments like that where it's like they're very emotive.
Yeah.
And that's a scene that's easy to make silly too, and it did not come across as silly.
And it felt very earnest because, like, character drops to their knees and curses in agony. It's like, it's a stock thing, but I thought it was earned. Yeah,
it's not. It's just people try to do that moment without really earning it, and this they earned it, and like to call that,
because like not only is my home gone, all hope is literally gone. We went looking for escape. There is none anymore.
Well, and it's almost worse. It's that much more of sort of a stab when it's like, not only is it not there, you've already went through it. Like you see movies occasionally where it's like, oh, your goal isn't really there, it's not real, or it's gone, or whatever.
No,
and it's like, but it's further down the line. This is like, oh shit, we should have been there already. We saw it. Like,
we saw it, and you got stuck there, and it sucked.
Yeah, you spent a good amount of time in the ruin of your salvation. Like, damn,
it's so destroyed you didn't even see it as ruins. You saw it as just nothing.
Yeah. You didn't think twice about it, other than the annoyance of being there, getting held up in the mud. But that's interesting. I hadn't thought of it that way.
Yeah.
Grace.
Yeah.
Ugh. So fuck dudes.
Yeah. Fuck boys.
Fuck boy.
Yeah. So if I...
Well, and I mean, Furiosa too, like, I like the nuances of her performance, because there were moments, like, I thought she played that with a lot of emotion and a lot of investment.
Yeah. Because
they're, like, all the characters come out through these little nuances.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. It's not dialogue heavy, but it's like, you can tell how much she cares about stuff. Like, you can tell how much. There are just little moments where, like, her eyes are watering over things, and it's just, like, you feel that, like, sometimes the difference between masculinity and just being tough is sometimes like having to soldier when you're just overwhelmed, and I thought they communicated that in her a lot. It's like she just has a purpose, and it's overwhelming and awful, but you just gotta keep moving on,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't
know.
Yeah.
Just sort of tangentizing.
So, and one thing, I'm going to expound upon this in a little bit. One thing that I thought was really great about as far as just showing the valuing of female persons throughout the movie versus not the wet nurses at the beginning. Immortan Joe has this disturbing wet nurse private farm.
Oh.
Where it's just these
farming mother's milk,
farming human breast milk, just to keep his stock of heirs supplied and to keep his nascent newborn war boys fed. It's like,
well, and that's also probably, like, I gotta imagine at least.
It's the most disturbing, dehumanizing thing ever. It's like you have these women that are being overfed and forced to just stay completely stationary and sedentary and just having these forever pumps attached to them. They are literally human chattel. They're dairy cows. And it's like the most nasty, dehumanizing thing. And it's like, I think the implication is when the wives are no longer fertile, that's where they go.
Oh.
They go to become farmed furniture. And it's like that made my skin crawl when I saw that. And what was brilliant is like,
well, and that also ties into the world because Rictus Erectus comes up and he like drinks some.
Yeah.
And I gotta imagine, like, they say because they're all diseased and they're all kind of sickly and gross, and I gotta imagine that he probably has at least, because Rictus Erectus is his son.
Yeah, his oldest, like, most put together son.
Whoever is in Immortan Joe's circle, not even just the newborns, but I gotta imagine, like, they're all probably chugging breast milk, hoping to get some of those nutrients back or something.
Yeah, hoping to stop being so sickly.
Like, it is a terrible outcome, but it's one that sort of seems like it would happen in that version of society.
Yeah.
It's like, we gotta get some vitamins somewhere, man.
Yeah. And that's and that ties into the whole idea of, like, like they asked, who killed the world. So it's like you have these shitty men that are destroying everything, but it's like they don't know how to create anything that's nourishing or nurturing or anything like that. So they have to dehumanize women that can actually like produce nutrition and put them through hell and abuse them in order to like kind of suck that out of them.
Well, and it's like, it's the best character, like the characters who get the most done in this movie, who are the most effective and who are the most formidable are, it's like if you look at your heroes and stuff, it's like you have Max and you have Furios and you have the Y, and they all kind of have this scale of masculinity and femininity, whereas like Immortan Joe and his warboat, like they're all this sort of like it's pure testosterone masculine, like it's all like macho and wasteful. It's like in a world where gas is scarce, they sure waste a lot of it. But I get that they're wasting a lot of it because it's about pageantry and it's about
and they have. I mean, the fact that they have to have a guy blasting heavy metal, and shredding hot licks while they ride into battle because, like, dumbasses, you're killing yourselves and people. Yeah, you're killing people as well as yourselves. And you're making this into a party. Yeah, you love this shit. Like it's like you fucking idiots. Yeah, you guys are morons, and you're wasting so much in the process. Yeah, it's of furthering your. You don't understand. You're not living in post scarcity anymore. You're living in new scarcity. You don't have gas to waste. Yeah, it's like even if you have Gas Town, like eventually you're gonna have to you're gonna run out of Gas Town. Like maybe the bullet farm will keep going, but you're going to need gasoline somewhere else. Yeah, it's like the bullet farm, you can have an ammo pressing thing and you can reload around, but it doesn't seem like you're short on metal so much. Yeah. But it's like, but what I liked about the poor wet nurses, they had a heroic turn at the end. They are the people that open the gates and give water to everyone. Yeah, it's like at long last these and that goes back to like the whole philosophy of like toxic masculinity and patriarchal society. There's this nasty, gross devaluing of mother figures. It's like wanting to devalue motherhood, and it's like here you have these women that are defined by motherly capabilities, and now it's what they do with that frees everyone. Yeah. Well, and it's almost like it's similar because they're giving some sort of life-giving elixir to the people, but in a it's like the flip side of that. It's like here's the good version of that. Yeah, here's the non-terrible. Here's the non-terrible. I'm strapped to an electric chair that's draining me version of it. Yeah. So, in some good movie. Yeah, no, I liked it. Well, and I mean, beyond the more challenging subtext, it's like there's so many little nuances I appreciate. It's like it's amazing what happens when you just treat characters like, and this isn't even a men and women thing. You just treat characters like people because there are so many little moments where it's like Max is sort of thrust into this situation, and I enjoy that it's like in that first scene he puts up a good fight, but when he's on that hook. That's the end of the line. They catch him. Like, he's not Superman. And then it's like you have these great little moments. And it's like up until the end of the first act, he's just strapped to a fucking car. Yeah, exactly. It's just like hating every minute of it. And it's those little things. It's like when Slit throws that spear right past his face, he turns around and says something. He's just like, "That's my face." Like, and that whole thing with the muzzle. You can tell how annoyed, it's a physically annoying thing to have on your face, and it's just like, it's just those real character bits. And it's like, in the fact that Furiosa was able to convince him with use that. It's like, you want to get that off your face, right? Yeah, it's like, how am I going to get this guy to move? I know. You want that thing off your face? Here. Now we can work together, please. And it's brilliant because just like Max and it's like, it shows very clearly Max kind of understands at the very least a sample of what he understands the wives are going through. He is muzzled like a dog, so he is able to throw in his lot with the people who have had their freedom stripped from them. Yeah, because even they treat him like I forget what they refer to him as, but they a crazy schmeg who eats schlaga. No, before that, because it's something that one of the war boys calls him or something. Before Bloodbag, it's
it's something about a wild.
Oh yeah, Nux calls him like a crazy guy, and it's like his crazy blood is going to keep me.
Yeah, it's like
in battle.
They establish him as like subhuman in their society from the get go. So it's like you get that sort of relation point, but also it's like Max seems like he's still damaged, but he's one of the good ones in this society because you can tell like he's got a sick car, but it's more out of necessity than like it's like he hasn't drunk the Kool-Aid of this mad future world, because in the other movies too he like a lot of the people in this version of the world are kind of nuts, kind of nutty.
And I want to know how exactly that works, because like Mad Max in the original movie, like he was a cop before everything fell apart, wasn't he?
It's been the longest since I've seen that one, and I think doesn't the original movie kind of start at the tail end of society? Yeah,
so it's like people went really crazy really fast.
Yeah,
and they built a lot of cars really fast.
Yeah. Well, and I love that little detail too, where they see the satellite. And she's like, back then everybody had a show.
Yeah.
And so yeah, you start to wonder like how many years in the future is this? Because it can't be that many. Like,
and it's like you don't get super concerned with that.
Well, and this movie is sort of in a nebulous space. Yeah. It's a Mad Max adventure, and it doesn't need to necessarily.
That reminded me of something. I want to say, I wanted one of the older women to survive.
They did, not one of the older aged women, but a couple of the mothers do survive.
Which mothers?
From the first mothers, the group with the motorcycles and stuff.
Some of them survived because when they get up on the lift, I don't think I saw any of them.
Yeah, there are a couple. There are at least a couple of them.
Okay, because it's like I didn't notice them. I thought
they didn't die.
Okay, because it was like it didn't feel. Yeah, I'm glad that happened because it didn't feel right to me for all the first mothers to be gone. Yeah.
No, they do a couple. At least a couple of them do.
Okay, well
I think one of the older ones and yeah. So they're in the car at the end. It's not as apparent on the looking upward shots when they're actually lifting them, but when they get to the platform,
you see them.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll have to look for that. I saw this movie, and I'm glad I did. We saw it with
you catch more stuff the second time around.
Yeah, we saw it with Doreen, right? Mm-hmm. So Doreen, she was so psyched to see this movie because she loves everything post-apocalyptic and everything Tom Hardy.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, so it's like, except for Bronson, she wasn't so into Bronson.
Really?
Yeah.
I gotta see Bronson still.
I like Bronson. But, so it's like, we saw it with Doreen, and Doreen wanted to see it, and it was worth every fucking penny. $20 a ticket to see it in like the AMC Plus thing. Big leather reclining chair, 3D, and the 3D wasn't a huge deal. We didn't need the 3D, but it was still cool.
I might go. I might check out a 4DX or something.
Yeah, but it was like sitting in the leather recliner, rumbling with the sound effects. It was I was liquefied at the end of this movie. I was shaken like a fucking martini.
Yeah.
And when I got out, I wanted to
not stir.
When I got out, it was like I was put in a high-speed centrifuge. All my fluids were drained out of me. I was in a sweat.
Did you poop?
No, I was just in a sweat.
Oh, okay.
I was just moist, and I wanted to beat the shit out of the patriarchy with my face.
Yeah, I think
I wanted to beat patriarchy with my face in the United States.
I think that should be on every poster.
Yeah.
Just beat patriarchy.
Break patriarchy with your face
in the United States. Hey man, thanks Australia.
Yeah.
Thanks Australia for helping us out.
And Namibia for where this is shot. I think it was shot in Namibia. Namibia. Fuck, I always get that wrong.
Fuck you.
My apologies to the proud nation of Namibia.
But yeah, no, like I just love that. It's like because some people have complained about like, oh, the way he played Max, and I mean, I'm always on board with like if you're gonna have somebody else take over a role, they should make it their own. And I just really like how, again, just those little, just Max looks really uncomfortable all the time. Like he looks like, and again, it's like this is a world where like diplomacy and talking is not the first mode of communication. So like everyone is a little bit awkward, and Max is a little bit awkward and kind of like,
and it's also
skeeved out.
He's having all those flashbacks to his dead daughter that
homeboy got PTSD.
Yeah, like that are really disturbing. So it's like Tom Hardy plays him like an awkwardly kind of mentally fractured guy. It's not one of those things where it's like, oh, I'm having spooky flashbacks that are making me have nightmares and
but they're cool nightmares.
and making it hard to sleep, and I just like act weary, but then go back to being a hard ass. It's like, no, he's really kind of jittery and a little like on edge at all times.
Yeah, it's like all the characters just remain themselves through everything.
Yeah, it's like he's hyper vigilant.
Yeah,
like he's got real PTSD, not movie PTSD.
Yeah, exactly. I also didn't catch the first time that arrow actually goes into his head.
Yeah, like, I saw that because
I was like, for a second, I was like, oh, his hand is kind of stuck there.
Yeah,
like he got to pull that shit out.
Yeah, like I was like, oh, I saw him struggle with it. I was like, oh, it's pinned to his skull, and then he pulls out, and then I see the little puncture wound in his head. I was like, that's awesome.
Well, and even that they brought that back because they're that little vision a couple times. She'll throw the hand up, and he'll go like that.
Yeah.
And it's like that came up a couple times before
and then
that
finally paid off.
Yeah, it's just like the attention to little details like that, little payoffs and things, and just like the whole construction. I haven't seen a movie quite like that where I was like enthralled and my expectations were like exceeded. Because I talked about this on my review. Is like I don't get excited. Like getting excited about movies is a scary thing to me now. It's like I don't let myself do it. You know, there are only 2 movies in recent memory that I allowed myself to get as excited as I wanted to be for.
Yeah.
And that was World's End and that was Mad Max. And both of those movies exceeded my excitement. You know, it's like, not only, it's like, on the one hand, it's just a really well-crafted action movie with the right approach. You know,
this movie seems like it was made by somebody who is really on top of the game of making an action movie, but has not seen any action movie that's out today. And I mean that in the best way. It's like, it's somebody that does not care about what's the hot new trope, does not care about what is standard for everyone else. It's just like, this is what I want to make, and this is how I want to play it, and this is what's going to be most effective. Yeah, exactly.
Well, and I mean, to hear him talk about action cinema, I mean, this is a guy, it seems like he really understands action cinema, and takes that to mean...
He also understands Lorenzo's oil cinema.
He does. He does understand Lorenzo's oil cinema, and, you know... extraordinary pig cinema, and dancing ass penguins. but I think in a couple of the sort of just little review capsule, interview capsules I've read with him, you know, he touches on that idea of like action cinema is not just set pieces; it's telling a story through action. Like everything is based in the action, and thus, you know, it's short on dialogue because it's heavy on visual. You know, storytelling.
It tells a story with physicality, and I think that
nothing is passive in this world. You know?
And I think that's actually kind of brilliant because, like, you know, people try and have their philosophy on the rules of the road for action cinema. Road, no pun intended, but it's like there's almost like when people talk about how in video games there's this whole problem of like ludonarrative dissonance where the story bits are over here and the gameplay bits are over here, and it's almost like, you know, the story and the gameplay are telling 2 different messages.
Yeah.
And I feel like action cinema, like action movies have that issue too, where it's like the story bit is here. 10 minutes later, the action bit is here for 10 minutes. And then it's 10 minutes of story, 15 minutes of action, 10 minutes of story, 25 minutes of action, 5 minutes of story at the very end. And it's like, that doesn't work. You have to have your story, you have to have quiet moments to, you know, make sure that you have the proper melody for your action. But you have to, if you're going to make an action movie, you have to tell the story in the action. The narrative in the action cannot be segregated.
Yeah. It's almost like the difference between an opera and a musical. It's like, if you're going to make like a true action movie, it's like in an opera, one way or another, all is sung.
Yeah, either whether or not it's an aria or whatever you call the singing dialogue.
Yeah, and then in a musical, you know, and I like musicals, so maybe this is a bad metaphor, but it's like in a musical, there are scenes, there is speaking, and then we take a break and sing a song about that theme.
Yeah. And
I feel like a great action movie sort of is that opera where it's like there's always some kind of action at hand, and it's all advancing. The story is still unfolding. Cause and effect is still there.
An action movie is a story told with action, not a story told in between action.
Yeah, exactly. And so many... I feel like there's a problem with action movies now and big spectacle movies now because it's like along the way people caught wind after so many Roland Emmerich and Michael Bay movies and were like, oh, you know, action movies are just so dumb. And now, like, we have this weird pseudo thing where movies take breaks now to try and convince you they're kind of smart and to try and kind of have character moments to make us care, and then they get back to having fun again.
Yeah, it's like the action. It's like, you know, action movies are like, It's almost like an action. Your standard action movie today is almost like a school day where it's like, you know, half an hour of class, 15-minute fun break.
Yeah,
half an hour of class. You know,
here's a couple minutes between so you can like chill out.
Yeah, a half an hour of class. You know, 20 minutes for lunch.
Yeah,
and it's like that doesn't, or you know, hour for lunch. It's like, and that doesn't work.
Yes. It's like you gotta... An action movie, it's like the action... If you're going to tell a story in which action is prominent, the action should be intertwined with the story. It's like the action should all be for a goal and make sense. Yeah. You know, should be narrative.
It's like when people tell, like, before going into the movie finally, and people were saying, it's like, oh, you know, the whole movie is just one long car chase. I was like, how does that work? And then I saw it and I was like, yeah, you know, it's multiple car chases. Yeah. It's multiple distinct car chases. They're not always being actively pursued. They're able to shake off their pursuers at moments. But it's like, no, it really is, the story is the pursuit.
Yeah.
Like when people say, oh, it's a chase movie, it's like, you think it's going to be idiotic, but it's like, no, this is a movie where people are being constantly pursued for the most part until they turn everything around. But it's like, that is not to diminish the story.
Yeah.
And it's not like, you know, they'll take a quiet break for theme stuff and then they'll go back to actions. It's like I said, that midpoint sequence where all three war parties are finally converging and Splendid is using her pregnant belly to make Immortan Joe stay his hand. It's like, no, there it is. There is the smart stuff and the wild stuff interacting. There is the brains and the guts, like, dancing with each other.
It doesn't have to be a tag team. It's like a big... It's like... If a lesser action movie is like a tag team of two dudes, it's like, okay, there's the kind of spindly, brainy guy, and then tag out, and here's the burly dude. It's like, this movie is more like a big burly dude who's read a few books, like, who knows a few things, and has some culture about him. Like,
it's the difference between Bane and Poison Ivy from the Joel Schumacher Batman interacting with you. It's like one is going to be like cunning and wily, and the other one is just going to be like a big brute.
Yeah.
It's versus them tag teaming you or Dark Knight Rises Bane, who's brawny and brainy.
Well, yeah, and the cool thing about Dark Knight Rises Bane is that they build up how big he is, but most of what he does
that makes him threatening is what he plans.
Yeah, exactly. Most of his...
What is his plan?
Everyone... I wish I could do a Bane impression.
It's just do Malcolm McDowell, but with your hand over your mouth.
Of course. Tom Hardy's got an interesting voice.
Tom Hardy has multiple interesting voices.
Tom Hardy, I think, is a great actor because he's one of those dudes where it's like, even if he looks kind of like him, he can still convince me that he's not.
Yeah, he will adapt a new. He'll adopt a new kind of like
manner,
vocal manner for every character.
Vocal manner and also just physical mannerisms.
Like he's very like Mr. Suave in Inception, and then he's something totally different in Bane, and then he's something totally... this slab of meat in... This, like, whacked-out slab of meat in Bronson, and in this, he's like, you know, mangy junkyard dog in Mad Max.
Mangy, weary junkyard dog.
Sleepy junkyard dog.
Yeah.
So, if I may...
Oh, yeah, hell yeah.
I'm going to present Mad Max as... And this is rough. This is me breaking down Fury Road as a manual for how to dismantle patriarchy.
All right.
Okay.
A movement in 3 parts.
Yeah. Tell me that this is not bullshit. Okay, first step, more or less, they have to find solidarity between male allies who have the same experience of having their agency stricken. That is shown with Mad Max, when they finally meet Max, who has the muzzle on his face. He has had his agency stricken from him, and they're able to...
Well, and they're actively stealing his blood. Like,
yeah. So
they're
it's
actively exploiting him for his, you know, universal donorhood.
Yeah, so it's like first you create solidarity with a male ally who
and against his will too. You know, like
who has also
they've invaded his skin with needles and are sucking the blood out of him.
Yeah, like, so someone who has been imprisoned in some way, or had their agency stricken, or been oppressed or exploited in his own way. Then you ally them with your cause. Then you have to work on bridging the gap with a guy like Nux, who is an actual like complete complicit subject and a participant in the patriarchal culture, in the greater patriarchal culture, someone who is invested in the toxic masculinity. That you have to take that guy, the guy like Nux, and awaken him to kind of the inherent corruption.
Yeah.
That's what happens when he sees Immortan Joe kill Splendid and lose his chance at glory. Mm-hmm. Then you venture forth to make some kind of contact with the ancient matriarchal culture, and not just the philosophy and the knowledge of ancient matriarchal historical cultures, which are, you know, the First Mothers and the Green Place. It's also hearkening back to the like past academia in feminism. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like you can read the First Mothers as kind of symbolizing either or both. All right. Then you travel back. They go back to the Citadel, yeah? Mm-hmm. Okay, they're bringing their male allies and the matriarchal philosophy and the feminist philosophy back to the mainstream patriarchal hegemonic culture. That's the Citadel. That's Immortan Joe's domain. Then on the way there,
as big towering phallic rock formation.
Yes. when you're reapproaching that, you have to. And this was, I thought, a brilliant visual metaphor. You unmask the idols and the leaders of the patriarchal culture. They literally rip off...
Remember me?
Yeah, remember me. They literally rip off Immortan Joe's mask. And what's brilliant is, like, when you finally see Immortan Joe's corpse, what's under the mask?
Just a bloody pulp.
Yeah, there's nothing there.
There's nothing there.
There's no jaw.
Tongue.
There's no jaw. There's no mouth. It's like literally saying, under his pageantry, under his posturing, under his mask, there's nothing fucking there. It was all fake.
Well, no, I mean his face gets ripped off. Like,
yeah, I know.
In the gear, like but because you can tell there's when he's screaming over her death, you can see another pair of bottom teeth. Like he has jaws. Like,
yeah, you can't see that.
Yeah.
But when
everybody else, when the citizens of the Citadel
see Immortan Joe's corpse, it's like he has no mouth.
There's just a hole in the bottom of his face.
Yeah, it's like Immortan Joe literally has a mouth that he's covering up in some capacity, but when you see him on full display dead, it's like the message is being sent. There was nothing under his mask.
And all these, medals and all this posturing means nothing.
Yeah.
Here he is on the hood of our car.
Yeah. like a
deer.
Like a ugly dead deer.
Yeah.
All right. So when you've, it's like you've gone back to the hegemonic culture, you've gone back to the patriarchal culture, you've unmasked and revealed the patriarchal idols and the leaders to have built their foundations and their philosophies on nothing. There's no real value system. There's just posturing and pageantry and performative bullshit.
Just preserving your status and your privilege.
Yeah. Then, and this is shown when the wet nurses, the wet nurses, the I guess what's implicitly the earlier wives, mm-hmm. when you see them up in what was Immortan Joe's balcony. Now they're up there and they have the status that Immortan Joe had. You're now exalting matriarchal and motherly figures the same way patriarchal and fatherly figures were, exalted before. Mm. Also, in the process of unmasking Immortan Joe, the patriarchal figure, you are completely diminishing the myth of fatherly ownership. Mm. The whole idea, you're destroying that idea of my property. It's like, no, we're all free people. There is no property. And now you're valuing motherhood and you're valuing mother figures. And in that process, they get on a literal lift and they are raised up. It's in that process, you're now feeding everyone, you're nourishing everyone, you're liberating everyone, and you are literally uplifting everyone. Huh. Okay, ready to start? All right, let's go.
Where are we going?
Get in the car!
Yeah! Okay, alright.
Well, that's done.
Sick. No more patriarchy.
High five.
High five, bro.
Good job.
Good job, bro. Dude, fuck hegemony.
Yeah. Hegemony, more like bullshit.
More like bullshit money.
More like dank money.
Dank money. Dankamonic.
Dankamonic.
You just want to be dank.
I just wanted to. Remember, kids.
We gotta create like a bullshit cultural movement that comes with being dank.
Dankiarchy.
It'll just be it'll just like be like being based, really. It's just be positive.
Stay positive, love each other. If everyone learned to dank each other, the world will be
a better place to live.
Yeah.
If everyone loved each other,
then the world would be a danker place to live.
Oh, there's a movie about a guy who was hurt by some woman at some point.
Someone was not his rose.
Someone was not his rose, and he made a whole movie about it.
He should have just seen Fury Road instead when it came out in 2003.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Mad Max Mix Mop Funky Rump. Give it a. I liked it.
I liked it too.
I liked it out of 10.
I liked it out of 10. That's good. I gave it an I liked it out of 10. Yeah. I gave it, yeah. No, I mean, I was just so thrilled. I was so happy.
Yeah.
It's like, fine. I was like, there is hope yet.
For movies.
For movies. There is hope for, like...
Movies won't die on me yet.
Yeah, it's just nice, you know? It's like there's hope for action cinema. There's hope for even franchise cinema. There's hope for, you know, progressive cinema. Like, there's hope for...
I was sitting in the theater in the trailers before Mad Max, and it was like Ant-Man and Jurassic World and the new National Lampoon Vacation movie, and it was just like... I was watching all these trailers, and I'm just thinking... There was one trailer that was for an original story, and that was San Andreas. I'm just thinking, how sad is this? There isn't a single original story here. There's not a single non-reboot, non-remake, non-adaptation, except for San Andreas, which is just big disaster movie.
It's gonna be the best. The Rock gonna team up with that earthquake for part 2.
Yeah, I was just thinking, well, I mean, I'm here for a franchise movie, and then I saw the franchise movie that I came there for. I'm like, good franchise movie.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, I sound like a broken record, but it's all about approach. It's like, you just got to take the right approach. It's like, they waited till they had the right story, and they waited, like, you know, it's like, everything that makes this movie good is something that they really seem to have the right approach on. It's like, how do we make the action as stunning and beautiful and thrilling and sort of symphonic as possible? Well, let's see how much of this we can actually put on screen, and then we'll use our CG smartly. How can we make, you know, how can we keep this world and this story going? We'll just come back when we have something to say. You know, it's, you know, how can we make this interesting and different? Well, maybe we can bring in, you know, a more progressive undertone to the story, and then go and consult and talk to the authorities on that, because they talked to, I think, a few people in sculpting the sort of feminist undertones of the story.
The most high-profile person I heard of was
Eve Ensler.
Yeah, the woman who compiled the vagina monologues.
Yeah, but and again, don't quote me, but I think they talked to a few people.
Okay, because if there was more than just her, fantastic.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, it just seems like every part of this was just approached the proper way, and also, you know, George Miller owns Mad Max, so he can do with it what he wants. You know, that's art in the hands of the artist that made it. You know, and they had, you know, they had WB money, but like, it's
crazy that, you know, I've never been someone that was like super hot for auteur theory, but I think this is one of those things that sometimes it's good to, if you're going to revisit a property or an idea or a story, it's good to do it under the guise, or do it under the banner of the person that created it, who kind of can holistically unify everything under what it was always meant to mean in a broader scope.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a very distinct world too. I mean, this is sort of,
it's probably less distinct because it's been hearkened to so much with like you know, especially in the video game world, like Fallout and Borderlands and everything.
Yeah, for sure.
But, you know, they all have to tip their hat to Mad Max as being the thing that set it up for them.
Well, yeah, and this is the kind of movie that is distinctive and wild and sort of like it. From the very moment Mad Max became a thing, it has been distinct.
Yeah.
And that's all the, you know, because, like, yeah, Auteur Theory is probably, you know, everything in moderation at the end of the day. It's like, this is an instance where that really works.
Yeah.
You know, this guy clearly knows what he's doing in his world.
And he brought on collaborators that really helped things out.
Yeah, exactly.
It wasn't like, you know, Ridley Scott deciding that he's going to trust his Alien prequel to Damon Lindelof.
Okay, Damon, can we... I'm not a Damon Lindelof expert. I just know that whenever his name is mentioned, people are like, ugh.
Because
like,
this is, I think Damon Lindelof is at the core of like the problem with a lot of J.J. Abrams properties, where it's just like you can set up the mystery, like everything that Damon Lindelof touches makes for a better trailer, but can't hold together as a complete story. Yeah,
well, because I was surprised. Like Tomorrowland came out this weekend. I didn't even know he worked on that. But but everyone's thing. Anybody who's not psyched on Tomorrowland is going Lindelof. Like,
well, I was like cursing Lindelof when I saw Prometheus because I was like, it.
Well, and that like, see, the thing is, I'm still learning it. What makes it him versus, because like a lot of the movies he's written, he's co-written or had a credit on.
Yeah,
and like I've heard it said that he comes in for, they'll get him a lot of times to fix third acts, except he doesn't fix them, I guess.
I don't know. It's just like, you know, maybe there probably is something greater at play here.
Yeah. I just keep wondering how this guy gets so much work if he fucks so many things up.
Because like it's almost like they only hired Damon Lindelof to fix things that are already kind of doomed. It seems like.
Yeah.
But everything I heard secondhand about like earlier drafts of Prometheus were that they were better before Lindelof showed up.
Yeah, that's what.
So I don't know. Maybe it is him. Maybe it's not him. I don't know. I don't want to like talk shit about the guy. I don't know him. I don't know his work.
Yeah. I don't know,
because like his work is always like one of many names.
Yeah, he's always a collaborator on stuff, and I'm just having trouble understanding because it seems like he somehow gets a lot of really high profile work on things that end up being sort of debatable.
Yeah,
like highly successful, but also highly debatable.
It's also like the guys who wrote I think it was like the second Transformers movie. They're also the same two guys
Kurtzman and Orsi.
Yeah, they're also apparently the same guys that wrote the first J.J. Abrams Star Trek movie, which people like. Yeah. So it's like
those dudes are like, sometimes those dudes will show up for some bullshit, and then sometimes they'll show up for something pretty cool. Like,
and no one knows what to make heads or tails of it.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe it's just that J.J. Abrams demands more of them than Michael Bay does. But,
yeah.
Because it's weird, man. Like,
and when it comes to Damon Lindelof, it's like everything that he touches seems to make like a great trailer, but a bad movie. And I saw a tweet. I saw a tweet.
It seems like Damon Lindelof shows up whenever there's like, here's something kind of interesting and sort of, you know, sci-fi, and also it's not working. Like,
yeah. You know. Let me see. Who was it? A guy named Scout at NYCSCOUT. He said, Tomorrowland, Prometheus, Star Trek Into Darkness, Cowboys vs. Aliens. Damon Lindelof is the P.T. Barnum of movies.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Which, it kind of makes sense. It's like every Damon Lindelof penned movie seems to start with like a trailer that's like the roadside billboard for come see the world's biggest ball of yarn.
Yeah.
And then you actually sit down and see the movie and you have the experience and it's only like 2 feet wide and it's a fucking ball of yarn and it's not that astounding.
Well, Prometheus is especially maddening because Prometheus goes, check out all these ideas, and then it ends on, we're going to figure that out in part 2.
Yeah. It's like the move. It's like one of the very last lines in Prometheus is, "I'm gonna go looking for answers." It's like, the fuck are we here
fucking
for?
Answers we came to this movie for. You might not even make that movie now. Like,
yeah,
give me at least one.
It's like, and it's like it sets up this question of what would happen if we found out that we were created by these highly advanced alien genetic engineers. What would happen if we met our creators? And it answers that with scary monsters.
Yeah,
It's like
they're just gonna get up and punch us a lot. Like,
yeah, it was like
that whole space jockey thing.
It was like reading some kid's English homework where he had to write a short story, and he set up a plot, and then when everyone finally got in the car to go have the plot, it's like aliens came and killed everyone.
yeah, a bit.
Yeah,
I mean that movie is like it keeps teasing you with ideas and then keeps drowning that in like, and oh then, no, this guy's getting attacked,
and then it's like it shows the prototype of the xenomorph at the end. It's like I don't give a shit where the xenomorph comes from. Especially now, you set up like you were going to talk about bigger ideas than where the fucking xenomorph came from, and now it's just you're giving me this franchise masturbation. Well,
yeah, it's like they spent the whole preemptive part being like, no, it's just in the alien universe, but it has almost nothing to do with that. And then it's like, well, great, and now we're ending, and the biggest moment you've given me is like, hey, the thing from Alien that we said wasn't the point, but now sort of is.
Yeah.
Why did you build all that shit up for an hour? Like, the first half of this, I was really with you, and now it's like, oh,
yeah,
there's a cool moment or two.
Yeah.
I don't know. Damon Lindelof seems like a strange cat.
Yeah.
At least in terms of his writing. I don't know.
So I'm glad he didn't pen Fury Road.
Yeah.
I'm seeing Fury Road again.
I've
never been... It's like, I have never been this satisfied and this excited to go see a summer tentpole movie before.
Yeah, right.
I was tentatively interested in The Dark Knight Rises. I liked it. It didn't age well with me. I see its problems really clearly now.
I still kind of hold Nolan's Batman movies. I mean, granted, they're problematic in ways. I still think that there's more going on and more care and effort put into those than a lot of the stuff that gets churned out of the machine.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they at least took a distinct approach and modeled a world after that. I mean, not that they aren't bogged down by certain things, but they're better to me. And it's like, you see Man of Steel and everyone's like, oh, Christopher Nolan worked on this too, but only
cursorily. Yeah,
and you feel that. It's like there's something about the way those movies play out that still feels a bit more substantial to me than the constant churn. And those movies also, I admire what he did in the sense that he did take his time. Again, it's like I think he took the right approach at least. Yeah. Even if Nolan is a filmmaker who sort of has these sophisticated aspirations and like a thoughtful eye, but doesn't always have the skill enough to pay off the deeper ideas and the bigger things.
I feel like the thing is he can handle the deeper ideas when he really simplifies them, like in Inception.
Yeah.
Inception, the philosophy was very simple. It was just like a matter of juggling the different layers that the plot was going through.
It's simple philosophy wrapped in very intricate trappings.
Yeah. I think the problems with the Dark Knight trilogy may stem mostly from David Goyer.
Well, it's possible.
I get that vibe.
Every movie I've seen that's just been written by David Goyer has not been excellent.
Such as?
Unfortunately.
Such as?
He did like The Uninvited, and he did. Let me look up some of these David Goyer joints. Because it's like I've sort of learned to have more faith in David Goyer as a collaborator than as a sole writer.
Then captain of the ship.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, was Man of Steel just him?
No,
he
got
did story credit.
Who wrote Man of Steel? Oh no, he wrote it. Yeah, he wrote Man of Steel.
Oh, okay. He did write Man of Steel.
And it's like Man of Steel is like the first half is cool. Like the first half, I like the sort of like actually playing with like he's an alien, like the alienation and some of the darker ideas. But that's about as close as it gets, with that movie. It's like, and then the second half it just devolves into we're punching each other a lot.
Jumper.
He wrote Jumper.
David Goyer wrote Jumper.
He wrote
Blade Trinity.
All three of the Blade movies.
Dark City.
Yeah, Dark City's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it's not super story crazy.
Yeah.
And Alex Proyas also has a screenplay credit.
Yeah, right. See, I think he's a better collaborator than a solo hero. Crow City.
I didn't see Crow City of Angels. I just saw the original.
I've only seen The Crow. He wrote, Kickboxer 2? Yeah, I don't know. I feel like David Goyer may be a better collaborator.
Collabo.
Or at least, a better garnish.
He should collaborate with Tyler, the Creator.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, The Unborn. That was the one. Was
The Unborn good, bad, indifferent?
The Unborn wasn't great.
Yeah.
I wasn't in love with it. The Unborn's kind of a kooky movie. Yeah, I mean, that's certainly a possibility. And I know that there's even a difference between Chris and Jonathan Nolan. Because,
Jonathan Nolan was the writer on Memento, yeah?
Yeah. And I mean, there's been stuff brought up as to, the ending of, not Transcendence, Interstellar. Like, his ending was different than Christopher Nolan's ending and stuff like that. So, and I think his ending was supposed to be darker or something like that. So I think Jonathan Nolan is a bit more of the darker side of that, yin yang. Why can't I find you?
Are you trying Jonathan with an H and Jonathan without an H?
Is it just Jonathan? Or do you mean John?
Yeah.
Nolan.
That's Nolan.
I can't type. Alright, I'm going to say this. Dark. That comes up. This is the really riveting Googling moment of our...
You were spelling it like that.
I know. I don't understand why it come up.
App. Yeah, he worked on the new Westworld HBO miniseries, which I'm interested in.
Yeah, I am too. I mean, Westworld's a cool... That seems like...
Visually, it looks really gorgeous.
I haven't seen any promos yet.
Oh, I saw some promos.
Okay.
At an event.
Was it Comic-Con?
No.
Was it? No.
It was a talk that Mike Lombardo, the president of programming of HBO, did at UCLA.
Hey man, HBO.
HBO's on their shit.
It's not TV.
Yeah.
HBO's on their shit, and they've been producing some really heavy documentaries lately.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten to see all of them, but I've seen
Montage of Heck.
Yeah, some Montage of Heck.
Montage of Heck I really liked. It was, it's a portrait. It's not narrative. Yeah,
well, I mean, Montage of Heck is like a mood piece that's peppered with, there are a few interviews here and there, but it's really it's a very expressive, it's very dissonant, and it sort of just is a portrait, of
it's too bad that
what Kurt Cobain would feel like.
Yeah, and it's too bad they didn't get. It's too bad they weren't able to get
Dave Grohl.
Dave Grohl's interviews in the movie in time because there was a scheduling conflict. So it's like his interviews were recorded after most of the movie was cut together. So I was told.
Yeah, that's what I read too.
There's special bonus features out there for the DVD of Dave Grohl's 2 cents.
Yeah, I'd love to see that too because it was weird not having him there, but in a sense it's. And this might be bullshit, but in a sense it was almost like because Dave Grohl is such an entity now.
Yeah.
To not have him was almost...
I mean, he's not like the others.
Not just another one of your plays. I don't know. What does he say?
Your plays, you the pretender.
Yeah, he's he'll never surrender.
What would you say if he'd never surrendered?
Why'd you have to go and let it down?
Yeah. Who
he sat down for his interview. He's like, you gotta promise not to stop when I say when.
Yeah.
Just keep recording.
I was gonna, it's impossible. You'll never know. Is he selling you out?
Are you getting the best of me? Is this my goods?
He'll sit and watch your every move.
It's it's nice because it's on the one hand it's kind of like he doesn't overshadow things because he's so ubiquitous.
He's everywhere.
Dave Grohl is Dave Grohl and he's all over the place and he's kind of big entity on the landscape.
Yeah.
But yeah, Montage of Heck was something else. And I watched The Jinx.
I still gotta watch The Jinx.
The Jinx is pretty heavy. And
I really want to watch an old guy burp a lot.
Dude, you never realize how creepy bye-bye... people don't say bye-bye past a certain age.
Yeah.
And when you hear this, this like eerily calm older chap say bye-bye so many times on the phone, it really gets under your skin. It's very strange. It's a fascinating story. It's a very jarring documentary, and if what they got is authentic, that's
they gamed it a little bit.
Oh, okay.
They gamed it in the presentation.
Okay.
A little bit.
Because there's a moment or two where you're like, ah.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was heavy. There's another one, the Grim Sleeper or whatever that I've heard. Again, is very heavy and will make you very upset.
Yeah.
But has been recommended to me. It's not TV, man. It's HBO.
It's HBO. I have an opinion on Going Clear. I may or may not have seen it.
Oh, that's Going Clear.
I may or may not have seen Going Clear, and I may or may not have an opinion that is positive and or negative about it, but I will withhold stating any of that for fear of retaliation from the Church of Scientology and its board of directors.
Are you a Scientologist?
No. Okay. No, I really liked Going Clear.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There are more things I would have wanted out of it, but I liked what I got out of it.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that spoken to a couple times. Although, I mean,
there were things
certainly dense.
There were things I got out of it. I had no realization that anyone could have gotten a hold of that.
Yeah. What would you have liked to have seen? Or do you?
I was
not want to go on record.
I would have liked to have seen their take on certain things in the history of Scientology, like I think Operation Clambake it was called, things like the Lisa McPherson case, different kind of spooky things that are historically tied to the Church of Scientology. I would have been interested to see those portrayed. And I may be getting Operation Clambake wrong. That may be the wrong name for what the event I'm thinking of was, and that may be the name of something they actually did cover in the documentary.
Isn't that an Elvis movie from the '60s?
Operation Clambake?
Just sounds like. It's like Elvis is like a secret agent, but also he spends a lot of time at the beach.
He's a secret agent that is on a case in Hawaii because it's the 6th season. Hawaii is cool and new, and he has to win a surf competition.
Yeah, he's undercover as a singing surfboard guy. Yeah,
at the big Clambake. No, I would have liked to have seen some of that, but things like, intimate portrayals of L. Ron Hubbard during his time on the ocean, things like that English interview with L. Ron Hubbard where he looks like he is strung out, things like the request for psychiatric treatment from the VA hospital.
Well, let's see.
Like, those things were fascinating.
Well,
it was insane to me that they could get a hold of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, seriously. Well, and that kind of just in a broad way sort of shows like the like I get why you so hate psychiatry.
Yeah,
because it's like it just seems like one of those petty things. It's like, oh, I can connect the dots. It's like, oh, you were denied this, so you must hate it. Like,
So we covered Fury Road.
We did cover Fury Road.
We killed the Patriarchy.
We killed the Patriarchy.
I think we did well.
We're sufficiently dank.
We covered Damon Lindelof and Blur and
yeah, we did cover Blur for a minute there.
And
Magic Whip, go buy that
HBO docs. Go see some HBO docs. Go see Fury Road multiple times. I'm gonna have to see it multiple times.
Yeah, pay for that shit. Like,
pay money to see Fury Road.
Yeah, speak with your dollars, man.
It does not have to be. And this is a crazy thing. They've already greenlit sequels, even though it has not made back the $150 million budget worldwide yet.
It should worldwide. Yeah, because like worldwide, they had that whole like box office bullshit about like, oh, Pitch Perfect 2 is making so much more money than Mad Max. But at the end of the weekend, they were like, hey, Mad Max overperformed. And B, if you look at the worldwide, they were pretty much the same. Like, it was still like 100 or
It's
whatever.
also, Mad Max...
I think Mad Max even made a little more.
Mad Max is R.
Yeah, pretty hard, too.
Yeah, Mad Max is a hard R, so it's like, for a hard R movie, it did really well.
Yeah, well, and I mean, you know, because I was having this conversation with somebody, and they were surprised that you know, Pitch Perfect outperformed, at least in America. And it's not really that surprising to me, anyway, because it's like you have more family-friendly, PG-13, recent franchise sequel, acapella is very popular, versus this sort of crazy post-apocalyptic thing from 30 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, that's back now.
And is for adults only.
Yeah.
Ostensibly.
Yeah. And, you know, looks imposing.
Yeah, it's like everything is painted in fire and rust. Everything is yellow, except for suddenly everything is blue at night.
Well, and they did day for night. And that was a conscious decision I read, because he's on record a few times saying, like, yeah, you know, all these post-apocalyptic movies, the instinct is to desaturate everything and make everything look kind of monochromatic. So we decided to do the opposite and really make the colors rich, you know. Like,
and I loved that. It's beautiful.
Well, and it makes the air more dense. You know?
The air looks like it's filled with noxious rust particles.
Yeah, so and it's, you know, again, that symphony metaphor, it's like, you know, you have different colors to go along with different movements, and so you'll have these things that are orange and brown and red, and then at night it's very blue when things are, you know, more serene or more quiet, you know. And they decided to go day for night for those shots.
I mean, that's fine, because like it's in a post-apocalyptic desert, so it's like when the sun's out, there's no illumination.
Yeah. And so, you know, they wanted that light, and I guess and you know, having it be so blue after it is so orange is a really cool, really different for now.
Yeah.
You know, visual style. And according to them, on the Blu-ray, they're going to put
a black and white
edition.
Which,
and that's, you know, again, he touched on that too. He was like, you know, I kind of want this to be black and white, but since, you know, apocalypse movies are so washed out, and black and white has been relegated to art films in the modern age, you know, we hyper-saturated, but, you know, I still love the version that's in black and white, so we're going to put that in the DVD, you know, so.
That's awesome.
I've also heard, I don't know if this is true, but somebody said there's going to be a silent version.
I mean, it could work, because it's like, you know, it's a story told so much with physical action, so it's like, apparently, I mean, I read somewhere it's like George Miller took some notes from silent cinema and how that works. I'm like, yeah, good. Like,
yeah,
this
visual storytelling.
Visual storytelling.
I mean, you know, because like and as a writer, like, I like dialogue. I like to write lots of dialogue, but you know,
and there are bits of dialogue that I think really work and really are serviceable. Like things like, you know, not Nuck saying we're not to blame, and Sponge saying then who killed the world, and you know, it's like the dialogue is specific, and it goes you know, it goes back to something I remember, you know, being told in screenwriting school, which I went to. I have an MFA in screenwriting, for all the listeners out there. I remember it was like one professor told me, it's like, you know, the thing about screenwriting is that it's kind of like, and he didn't mean this in a highfalutin or a pretentious way. So screenwriting is kind of like poetry. You have to get the most out with the least words. You have to get everything out through condensed language, specific condensed language.
Mm-hmm. They really took that to me.
Yeah.
Well, and even the stuff like, you know, there are always speeches and things like that in a lot of our modern action fodder. And I thought even the stuff...
the Avengers.
Yeah. It's like people will take breaks to deliver rousing addresses.
Listen, everybody, I know it seems hopeless now because this is the Dark Night of the Soul sequence at the end of the second act going into the third act, but we are the Avengers Age of Ultron, and we are going to defeat Ultron. His age is 12. He's 12 years old. Today is his birthday.
His name was Jason, and today was his birthday. Yeah, and like even the little speechy moments, it's like there are ways to make that. It's like that moment where he says, like, you know, hey, don't give him hope, you know, because you can't fix something, you go nuts. You know, it's like, you know, that moment was earned, and like that little piece of philosophy that didn't need to be a 20-minute monologue. It was just a few lines, but you know. That's true to that guy. That's true to the situation.
And it's true to people. The fact, like, people don't state their personal like if someone's just going to state their personal philosophy as an anecdote or as a piece of advice, they're going to give it in just a sentence as like a rote fact or a rote bit of wisdom. People don't like try and espouse their philosophy in a 20-minute speech to set it up to somebody unless they're, under very specific circumstances.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So.
Mad Max making fat stacks.
Hopefully. So.
One would hope. And now I just hope that they continue, qualitatively.
Apparently there was a plan for a sequel after this called just Mad Max Furiosa, so I'm down to see an ongoing Mad Max and Furiosa story.
That would be BA.
Because it's like, I was thinking, the way that it was playing out, it was almost like, it's like Max and Furiosa are like the parents of the new world that's going to arise out of this apocalypse.
Yeah.
And I was so down for that. They're kind of like the spiritual parents for for what's going to, that between the two of them, they gave birth to everything that's going to kind of regenerate this world.
Yeah.
Not to diminish the actual, the women that are actually moms in the movie.
I mean, that's a definite, it is a Mad Max, and he is instrumental.
Yeah.
He's just not the only instrumental.
Yeah.
A friend of mine sort of described that as like, she sort of took it as like, it's a love story, but it's not a love story. It's like a love story without the love, because like it's about two people learning that they are kind of fighting similar fights. They're sort of kindred spirits, like they match. Like they're not in love. There's no romance there, but they learn to trust and rely on each other. And
they have they have a depth of relationship and a depth of trust that I don't want to say it's deeper than a romantic relationship, but in a way it kind of is, because it's like
it's meaningful.
It's incredibly meaningful.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
What a Dank.
And now sequel's going to be a romantic comedy.
This almost was structured like a romantic comedy. The fact that there was like midpoint sequences when they finally learned to work together.
Yeah. And then he motorcycles to the airport just in time to be like, don't go.
In the dust storm instead of rain.
Yeah. That dust storm.
That dust.
Dead dust. There were 5 applause breaks when I saw this the first time.
Really? The first time?
5 applause breaks.
The first time I tried to start an applause break and nobody was going for it.
That's fucked up.
And then there was finally an applause break at the end of the movie.
Okay. Yeah, there was an applause break at the end of the second time. The first time there was a lot of like, ah! But yeah.
Because, I feel like I saw it with a few, like, repeat viewers.
Yeah, you're always mellow in the second time.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Alright.
And remember, kids,
stay
dank.
Stay dank.